You feel your teenager pulling away. The conversations get shorter, the bedroom door is closed more often, and you can't shake that nagging feeling that you're losing them. You might tell yourself it's just a normal phase, a rite of passage for every parent. But what if it's more than that? What if the small, everyday interactions are quietly chipping away at the very foundation of trust you've spent years building? In this video, we're going to uncover 6 scientifically backed parenting mistakes that can silently damage your relationship with your teen. And more importantly, I'll show you exactly how to start rebuilding that connection today. Parenting a teenager can feel like walking through a minefield in the dark. Their brains and bodies are changing at a dizzying speed, and the rules of engagement seem to shift every single day. Many of us fall into patterns we think are helpful or even necessary, without realizing they're actually pushing our teens into silence. These aren't always big, explosive fights. More often, they're quiet, subtle habits that build up over time, creating a chasm between you. We're going to break down each of these mistakes, look at the psychology behind why they're so damaging, and give you concrete, actionable strategies to not only stop the damage, but to actively repair your bond. Because it's never too late to reconnect. Let's get started. Mistake number 1, demanding perfection. The first mistake that quietly chips away at your connection is demanding perfection. And look, this usually comes from a good place. We want our teens to succeed, to have every opportunity, to be their best. So when they come home with a 92 on a test, our first instinct might be to ask, what happened to the other 8 points? When they play a great game but miss one shot, we focus on the miss. We think we're motivating them, but what they hear is, you're not good enough. This creates a constant low-grade pressure to be flawless. The fear of disappointing you becomes so huge that it's paralyzing. In one eye-opening seminar, when teens were asked to text their parents about their belief that they were expected to be perfect, an overwhelming majority confirmed this feeling, revealing just how common it is for teens to believe that imperfection is a form of failure. This mindset can lead to chronic anxiety, a crippling fear of failure that stops them from trying new things and withdrawing from you to avoid judgment. They start to believe your love is conditional, tied to their achievements. So what's the solution? The antidote is to model and embrace imperfection. Start by sharing your own mistakes and struggles, both past and present. When you mess up, admit it. Laugh about it. Show them that making mistakes isn't a character flaw, but a fundamental part of learning and growing. Instead of focusing on the one missed shot, celebrate the 99% of the game they played brilliantly. When they bring home that 92, try saying, wow, you worked so hard for that. I'm really proud of your effort. Shift your language from valuing outcomes to valuing effort, resilience, and courage. This shows them your love isn't based on a flawless record, but on who they are as a person, flaws and all. This approach doesn't lower your standards, it actually deepens your connection.
Mistake number 2, a judgmental attitude or constant criticism. All right, let's talk about the second mistake. And this one is a blind spot for even the most well-meaning parents, a judgmental attitude or constant criticism. This is rarely about loud, harsh put-downs. More often, it's a silent killer of connection, communicated through subtle cues. It's the exasperated sigh when they say they forgot their homework, the slight eye roll when they share an opinion you find naive. It's giving them the cold shoulder when their choices disappoint you. To a teenager whose brain is on high alert for social judgment, these small actions are huge. They feel belittling and dismissive. Neuroscience research shows that the adolescent brain reacts intensely to parental criticism. Brain scans have revealed that when teens hear their mother's criticism, the parts of their brain associated with negative emotions and even physical pain light up. At the same time, the areas responsible for emotional control and seeing another person's perspective actually show reduced activity. In other words, when you criticize, their brain literally starts to shut down its ability to hear you, empathize with you, or manage its own hurt feelings. The renowned psychologist John Gottman found what he calls the magic ratio for healthy relationships: 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. Constant criticism, even if it's subtle, flips this ratio upside down, creating a climate of negativity where your teen feels constantly scrutinized. The fix is to become hyper-aware of your communication and to consciously build a reservoir of positivity. Make an effort to greet them with a smile. Send a text just to say you're thinking of them. Thank them for doing a chore. When you need to address a behavior, try starting with, "This is just my perspective, and it might be different from yours." Or, "I feel concerned when this happens, and I want to understand what's going on from your point of view." This simple shift from judgment to curiosity can keep your connection from being severed by 1,000 tiny cuts.
Mistake number 3, dismissing or invalidating their feelings. The third mistake, and maybe one of the most common, is dismissing or invalidating your teenager's feelings. Your teen comes to you, devastated because a friend didn't invite them to a party. Your instinct might be to fix it or downplay it. You say things like, "Oh, you'll get over it. It's not a big deal," or "Don't be so dramatic." While we think we're giving them perspective, we're actually sending a crushing message. Your feelings are wrong, unimportant, or just too much for me to handle. When this happens over and over, teens learn one thing: stop showing emotions. They stop coming to you with their problems because they know they won't be met with empathy. This isn't just a social problem. It has serious psychological consequences. Research has shown that emotional invalidation can foster emotional inhibition and is linked to a higher risk for anxiety, depression, and lower overall resilience because the teen hasn't learned to process their feelings in a healthy way. The powerful alternative is validation. And validation doesn't mean you agree with them. It just means you acknowledge their feelings are real and acceptable. Before you offer any advice, start with a simple statement like, "That sounds incredibly disappointing," or "I can see why you feel so hurt." You're creating a safe space for their emotions. After you validate, then you can ask, "What do you think you want to do about it?" Or "How can I support you?" By validating first, you're not just listening to their problem, you're connecting with their heart. You're teaching them that all feelings are okay and you are a safe harbor where they can bring their full, messy, emotional selves.
Mistake number 4, not listening or talking too much. This brings us to mistake number 4, violating the 80-20 rule of communication by talking way more than you listen. A teenager starts to open up about a problem, and within seconds, we jump in. We interrupt with our own stories, lecture them on what they should have done, or hit them with a dozen questions that feels more like an interrogation than a conversation. When a teen senses a lecture coming, they immediately start editing themselves. They give you the shortest possible answers just to get it over with, or they just stop sharing completely. They learn that opening up to you doesn't lead to connection, it leads to a monologue. This is a huge missed opportunity. Calm, open conversations about difficult topics can be a major protective factor for teens, but it only works if it's a genuine dialogue, not a one-way street. The solution is to consciously practice active listening. When your teen starts talking, your only job is to listen. Don't formulate your response, don't think about the lesson. Just listen to understand. When they pause, instead of jumping in, try reflecting back what you heard. So it sounds like you're feeling frustrated with your coach because you think he's not seeing how hard you're working. This shows you're paying attention and lets them clarify. Ask open-ended questions that can't be answered with a yes or no, like, "How did that make you feel?" Or "What was that like for you?" Resist the urge to solve their problem for them. Trust is built in the quiet spaces of a conversation, where a teen feels safe enough to think out loud. Your silence can be a more powerful invitation to connect than your words ever will be.
Mistake number 5, over-controlling or not giving enough independence. The 5th mistake is a tricky balancing act: over-controlling your teen's life, often called helicopter parenting. This comes from a deep-seated fear that our teens will fail or get hurt. So we hover, managing every detail of their lives, their friendships, their homework, their schedules.
We make decisions for them and swoop in to solve their problems. While the intention is to protect, the outcome is often the opposite. Research consistently links this excessive control to higher levels of anxiety and depression in teens and young adults. It stifles their ability to develop confidence and self-regulation. They either become overly dependent, unable to make decisions for themselves, or they rebel fiercely to carve out any sense of autonomy. This creates a painful cycle. The more you try to control, the more they pull away. The key is to slowly and deliberately transfer ownership of their life to them, balancing structure with autonomy. This means letting them face natural consequences. If they forget their lunch, they have to figure out how to solve it. If they get a bad grade on a project they rushed, let them experience the result and discuss how they might do it differently next time. Give them control over age-appropriate areas, like choosing their own extracurriculars or managing their homework time. This doesn't mean you disengage. You're still the coach on the sidelines, providing guidance and enforcing important family rules, but you're not on the field playing the game for them. By trusting them with their own lives, you teach them to trust themselves, and in turn, to trust you.
Mistake number 6, overreacting, inconsistent parenting, or punishing in anger. Mistake number 6 is a trio of behaviors that creates a chaotic and scary emotional environment. Overreacting to small things, being wildly inconsistent with rules, and punishing while you're angry. Let's say your teen comes home 15 minutes past curfew. An overreaction is grounding them for a month. An inconsistent reaction is yelling about it one night but ignoring it the next. And punishing in anger means the consequence is driven by your fury, not by logic. When a parent's reactions are unpredictable and explosive, the teen just learns to walk on eggshells. They don't learn the actual boundary. They only learn to fear your mood. This creates anxiety and confusion, not respect. Research on parenting styles has consistently shown that inconsistent discipline is a major predictor of behavioral problems in adolescence. When rules change based on a parent's mood, they become meaningless. The solution starts with your own self-regulation. When you feel a huge emotional reaction coming on, the best thing you can do is step away. Say, "I'm too angry to talk about this right now. We'll discuss the consequence in an hour when I'm calm." This models healthy emotional management. The second part is to establish clear, consistent, and logical consequences ahead of time, preferably in a calm conversation with your teen. For example, the rule is a 10 p.m. curfew. If you're late without calling, the consequence is losing car privileges for the weekend. Is that fair? When the rule is broken, you enforce the consequence calmly and firmly, without the lecture. The message is no longer, "I'm furious with you," but "You made a choice, and this is the consequence we agreed on." This turns discipline from a power struggle into a predictable lesson in accountability.
Conclusion. If you recognize yourself in some of these patterns, please don't be discouraged. The fact that you're here, that you've watched this far, shows how deeply you care about your teenager. Parenting is a journey of constant learning. Ruptures in connection are a normal part of any relationship. The magic is in the repair. It's about having the courage to admit when we've messed up, the humility to listen, and the commitment to show up differently tomorrow. You have not lost them. By replacing judgment with curiosity, lectures with listening, and control with connection, you can slowly and powerfully rebuild that bridge of trust. The work starts now.